well, I think they changed the fundamental of the combo system in this character. So.
Yeah, combo system is completely useless. It has no value. There's no reason to have it.
It used to be nothing but a combo system, right? That was like the whole thing. It was without the combo system. Yeah, I think isn't that like where you got all your crit rate as well? So like without it, you basically just a chump.
Yeah. Yeah, now it doesn't do anything. The only thing that combo does now is increase the duration of your origin skill. But that doesn't really matter because adrenaline is really fucking useless. So there's no point in being in adrenaline after you use origin. It's like
there's no use of being in adrenaline.
To me, yeah. It's like being in playing Arc and like being Inspector and like you can't. Well, with Spectre, at least you can go whenever you want, whenever you have gauge. With Adrenaline, it's like I'm sitting at 1,000 combo for no reason until the 3 minutes are up or the 90 seconds are up. And then
so before
it doesn't enhance my damage either. Like going into Adrenaline does nothing now. So
regular.
It's like going to Spectre, but like you're still doing floor damage. And you can only do 2 skills in that.
Yeah, so if you go into Adrenaline now, it doesn't give you anything besides like an AoE around you that does like negative damage.
Pretty much.
It literally cannot one-shot mobs.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how bad it is. It can't one-shot mobs.
Yep.
It used to like empower your attacks that you were using, right?
Yeah, you would gain extra lines and you would gain shockwaves.
Yeah, and the shockwaves, yeah. So that's completely gone.
Yeah, the extra lines were really good because that would play into your Beyond Blade, and that would apply on your Hexa, right? There's no Hexa for Adrenaline. They did add that recently on KMOs, but it's gonna take a while. But so if you go into Adrenaline, there's 2 modes. So the first mode is the 90-second version, the Adrenaline Rush, I think it's called. Yeah.
Yeah.
That enables like a tornado around you that, like I said, doesn't one-shot mobs. It's like
I only make it like in Grandis it can't even 10-shot mobs. Like that's how bad it is.
Oh god.
Even it just sucks. It doesn't really do anything.
It's damage, but yeah. It's like some character's final attack damage, right? It's like technically it adds damage, but it's not enough to.
I would say the character's final attacks do more damage than that, honestly. It just helps me break the box faster. That's it. If I'm on.
It's like the lightning, the lightning on the ground for 0. That just like
that
tickles.
That one does more damage than whatever.
Does it end up doing more? Oh no.
Because at least in Grandis you can tornado farm perfectly fine still with 0, but this one you can't do anything remotely related to mobbing.
It's just worthless. And then the empowered version, the Awakened, you get golden shockwaves or something, but they're also just completely worthless. They do no damage. So there really isn't a point in being in Adrenaline because it doesn't do anything.
Outside of bursting or outside of origin.
Outside of letting me use 2-3 skills. That's it.
Yeah. So and the combo system also plays into that because not only do you need 1,000 combo to go into Adrenaline, you also need the cooldown to be up.
Yes.
So there's 2 factors for Adrenaline. And one of them doesn't make sense, combo system, because it doesn't do anything anymore. Before, it would give you like a bunch of crit rate, a bunch of damage. That's all passive now. So there's no point in having combo. And the old Aran could go into Adrenaline whenever they had 1,000 combo, without any cooldowns.
Yeah. Kind of like the energy build-up for Kaiser, basically, right? It was more similar to that.
Yeah, and now you need your skill to be up to use it.
Yeah.
So even if you're at 1,000 combo and your skill's on cooldown, you can't go into Adrenaline.
You know what it reminds me of when they changed to go to like the stacks system with some skills, and then in the test server they were like, "Oh, we're gonna do stacks on Goddess Blessing, but we're also gonna put a cooldown." And it's like, then why do you have both? Like it doesn't make any sense anymore. Because they were like, you can build up to 2 stacks, but you build a stack every 2 minutes, and the skill also has a 2-minute cooldown. It's like, why are stacks still there? And then they remove them, the test server after that, because they've also realized, like, oh, wait, this is completely useless now.
Yeah, they haven't with Aran yet. On KMS, it's still the same,
it feels like that kind of... Well, I guess since we aren't Maybe if someone else in the chat has a experience as a new Hyperburned Aran and they would like to share, let me know, and then I can add you guys as well. But I guess to do it a little bit more officially is we have 2 Arans here with us. We have Flip, who is, I think, in the 270s, right?
I'm 278 right now.
78, yeah, but a little bit more on and off, a little bit more casual player.
Mm-hmm.
Old school Aran player, and then we have Kyle, of course, that you guys all know, who is are you 285? No, you're higher, 287? 285. Okay.
285 still.
You would have been past 285 if the.
I would be close to 287 if I didn't main swap a while ago.
If like 7 months ago the Korean test server didn't show like what it did, basically, right?
Yeah, basically.
So we were getting into it a little bit, but I think pretty quickly after the test server, the Arans were immediately not happy, and then they were hoping that for the live server they would see a bunch of adjustments. Did you guys hear anything on the same level of the shades? I feel like they were kind of quiet.
I'm not in tune with the Shade Discord or community or how AMS Shades felt about their remaster, so I
have a friend that mains Shades. I don't know if you know him. He's called Iron Wooly in game, Expento maybe.
I heard it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he likes the changes because Shade hasn't really been like nuked compared to Aran.
Yeah. I don't know if you'd like the change or you prefer them. You know, that's a very different way of looking at it. Like, at least I can still play my class and it doesn't really change too much, so it's fine. I burned one and it seemed pretty cool, but in comparison, the Aran community was very vocal very, very quickly on.
Yeah, because it changed so much, right? Because Shade didn't really change that much. They got a bunch of new things.
That was my conclusion from it, is that it must not have been that big of a change that it wasn't worth for them really trying to fight on small things when it was generally kind of okay, whatever, right?
Yeah, because their burst rotation is very similar to what it was. And Aran is just completely different now.
Mm-hmm. So you guys were talking about you guys are in tune with the class Discord as well. So what are like things that you guys are hearing from new Arans who are coming in, the questions that they have?
From like Alliance messages I've read, they said they like it and they think it's better, but it's kind of weird to me because they like most of them haven't really played the older Aran.
Yeah, like better than what is what your follow-up question would be, like what's your experience?
They're just like, it's better, but like, have you played the older Aran?
I did when it came out, so very recent.
Yeah.
When you had to get was it like a 30,000 combo medal for not dropping your combo, and if you didn't attack anything longer than
unreleased,
a second and a half, and you lost
I played that also way back then too.
It was really cool back then though, like the ice charge, being able to slow things as a warrior was like, damn, this is some good shit. I liked it. And it was strong. You hit a lot of lines, right? A lot of crits. Back then, crits were not, especially for warriors, critting was like kind of tricky, but if you got your hands on like decent sharp eyes on an Aran, you could hit really hard.
It was also like recommended as like one of the best unfunded characters, so I leaned towards that when it initially released. So, and even now I would say, at least pre-remaster, and I guess with the remaster, I would say it is still pretty decent because it's got decent base crit.
You have a little base crit. You have like
an IED, right? You still have good IED as well.
Yes, good IED in the kit. Yeah.
I think it's similar to like what happened to AB. Like they just tried to make the class more simple, more straightforward. And then I think with AB they did quite well. And I think with Shade they probably didn't change enough to really upset anyone. So I think in general that was pretty successful as well. But it seems like for Aran, I think if the goal is to get more people into Aran and make the class more approachable to people, I think they were successful at that. But what it seems like anyone who was min-maxing with the current kit or the logic of the kit made sense to them after a long time of playing, like for you guys, the changes seem to just not make any sense. And at the same time, but if at the same time your damage stays the same or goes up a little, usually people kind of adapt more easily. But if your damage also takes a huge hit, it's like that's too many hits at the same time, right?
At once, yeah. Yeah, well, for AB,
go ahead, Philip. Go ahead.
Yeah, for AB, it was like more visual.
Yeah, A little bit,
'Cause-
and then a little bit the timings. I think they made the dragon charge thing.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
'Cause
it's
that
like-
was
it's
So yeah,
well.
taking away the charging at the mighty
Yeah.
mascot was like huge because it actually
Yeah.
messed up a lot of their timing for their 2-minute window.
and the direction and the timing and the charging. It's just so annoying. And now it's just like I think it's 60-second now. You just like press it, burp, and
You
done.
press
Yeah,
and,
hold
then
you
down, yeah.
and then people love it for like a boss meal. So I think to what you were saying earlier, Kyle, I think for that reason, probably people who pick up Shade and Aran now probably think it's okay for boss meal. They probably like it because it got good fundamentals. It's not too complicated to get into. But then you were talking about like if you push it further than that, and to get into what I was saying about like the questions for the Discord and just in general like Aran questions, you said that people are kind of like confused about adrenaline and how that works now, right?
Yeah, because it's not intuitive as to what it was before. Even if you knew a little bit of what Aran was before the remaster, it's nothing like getting to the new adrenaline,
Mm-hmm.
the awakened adrenaline it's nothing like it was before, and that's the problem. They shift the damage from Hunter's Prey to the new hyper skill that you can only use in awakened adrenaline, which has an internal cooldown of 3 minutes.
Yeah, because it
And,
used to be. I feel like you hit a certain target, and then like the around your screen it became like fiery, right? And then you could like activate the adrenaline, basically.
Yeah, it still does that, but you still have to wait for cooldown.
So it still does that, but you could then press the button
really
and nothing
annoying. Yeah,
happens.
it's really
Okay,
annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the indicator is only like it's still an and, like it's like an and thing. You have to have this and the other thing, otherwise it's just your
there's
screen's
no
just
point.
burning
And
for
like,
nothing. Yeah.
What I said about combo is that there's no reason to have combo anymore.
That's
Like-
generally a feeling that most veteran Arans in the Discord have.
The only thing that combo does is increase the duration of adrenaline after you activate Origin. But there's no point in being in adrenaline because adrenaline on its own doesn't do anything. It only unlocks the skills, and once you've used the skills, there's no reason to be in adrenaline anymore.
Right. So it lasting longer also doesn't really do anything there because you can get your skills off way faster now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like 2 cooldowns, and then you're done.
Yeah. And how does that whole like golden adrenaline thing work where it's like slightly different? What's up with that?
How to activate it, or
Well, there's like a special adrenaline, but it lasts like only 5 seconds or something.
Yeah,
Oh,
awakened adrenaline only lasts like 5 seconds.
Awakened.
that's after you use. That only happens if you use Origin
Mhm.
while your adrenaline is on cooldown. Then it only lasts for 5 seconds.
Okay. And otherwise you get like a regular adrenaline?
Well, the Origin description says that if adrenaline is on cooldown,
Mm-hmm.
the duration of adrenaline is changed to 5 seconds.
Uh-huh. And then the
So-
skill also changes, right? Like your finisher move that you can use like one of?
Oh, the tornado. I think it's called Adrenaline
Stand.
Surge.
Yeah, Surge. Yeah, Surge.
Yeah, there's
Surge.
2 different versions. The Awakened version is like 100. It's 100% damage more from what it says. So the Adrenaline Rush version is 1320, and the Awakened version is 1420. So
Mhm. Yeah.
or 1430 even. So it's 110% more.
Yeah.
It's not that much.
It's like 8% FD or something.
Yeah, it's not very much.
It gets bigger, but that's about it. Like,
Hell yeah.
unfortunately, it doesn't feel.
It doesn't matter for bosses, but I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's one of
like,
those
yeah,
things. Yeah.
it's one of those. It's a place down summon. Also, that's like the problem with it too. If the
Mm.
boss moves out of the place down, then it's kind of yikes. But
So
like,
hit-
you should be using it when it's bound, so
Mhm.
it should be hitting most of the times. But if things just don't go the way you want it to, or the party, it's easy to miss some of that damage. But like I said, most of the damage is like in the other finisher, the one that you can only use in
yeah,
hyper.
last stand.
Yeah, last stand. That one.
That's a ridiculous skill. Yeah, it does like a million percent.
Yes, it's really ridiculous, and
Oh,
and
that's
this
what
is
you
like my-
used in the BM run, right? Where you just like
Yes.
chunked like fucking 60-70% in one
Yeah.
attack.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have it doesn't have Hexa.
yeah, it doesn't have a
they're adding.
mastery core right now,
Yeah,
but
so
it
they're
will
adding
be added on the 3rd or 4th one. So
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, they
It
didn't say
felt
which
like-
ones, but they're adding them at the same time, so it doesn't really matter, right?
yeah, it felt like this remaster should have came with the latest KMS update. because then that way at least the damage you
Mhm.
lost from the remaster would be very minimal. And
Yeah, then you
like
have
I
a
said, the
buffer.
damage distribution would be a lot different because now they took away a lot of damage away from final, from
Hunter.
Hunter's Prey, and they divided that between 3 skills, which is Hunter's Prey, the last Adrenaline Surge, which is the tornadoes placed down, and then the Hyper Finisher.
Last
But the
time.
Hyper Finisher, Last Stand, doesn't come until for us like another 6 months. So we're just losing.
Gotcha.
And the damage distribution is not even. It's not like 33, 33, 33. I would say it's more like from looking at like KMS videos
Yeah,
of the
last time's
live
like
patch right
50%.
now. It's like Last Stand is 80% and Hunter Spray and Surge only have 10% each.
I like 10% each. Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say it's very satisfying to use the skill because it's. It might be the highest damage skill in the game.
For like yeah, there's
For
maybe like
individual
that one
skill, it might be
Hayato
the most-
skill or something. But that one's on a 90 second, so it just can't hit as hard, right? But there's like one Hayato skill that hits like a bajillion times and just like chunks as well. I know.
I don't know if it
Um,
does more than like Cadena Bat or like Heaven's Door for Bishop because those are usually the skills.
Oh,
that used
what
to
about the
hit
Lara?
line-
The Lara skill, the lens end or
Connection.
something. Lens connection.
Lens
That one.
connection?
That's a lot of damage as well, right?
Yeah, but that one doesn't come out as fast as
No,
Aran's
yeah,
does.
exactly. Yeah, most of those things.
Because there's a
hit,
delay on the lens connection.
Yeah,
But when it does come out, it feels like your burst all comes out within 5 seconds still.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like a
exactly.
nuclear bomb you use.
But it feeds more into if you want to be able to damage a target, you have to bind a target, right? And that's. I feel a little bit bad, right? Because you get kind of railroaded into that gameplay. Like, you have to do it that way, right? You can just like sneak it in because then.
Well,
might
you,
just
you
miss
can
out.
because the moment you press it, it hits. But like.
But it has
For
to be like right
example-
after a teleport of a boss or something. So
Yeah,
to
if
be
Hela
very
TP's away
cognizant.
while you're in the animation, it's kind of awkward because you lose all your damage.
Yeah. Can imagine.
I've had that happen a few times because the origin skill also takes forever, and like once the animation is done, there's like a 3-second bind left, so you always have to use your regular bind.
Pretty much.
Also, not to mention that the old origin worked a lot different than what it does now.
Yeah.
Now it's just a very generic origin skill. So you press it.
Oh,
get
you guys got a new animation and new origin as well in the rework.
Yes, it's essentially a nuke now, which is what some people wanted. But other people, the Arans, I think we all really liked the one before, where it was how we get a new skill called Hollowing Swing, and that one you just spam your basic attack key for like 20 seconds. And that was also affected by attack speed 0, so we did a lot more damage before then. And then it would go into the animation and be a nuke at the end.
Yeah, you would have to recast that though.
Yes, you had to recast it, but if you don't, the crappy part about that origin was if you don't hit it before the 20 seconds, you just lost it. You just lost your
Yeah,
origin
that
skill.
was awkward.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean it
Yeah.
gets kind of similar to the Demon Avenger, right? Like you put the sword down, and that does damage, and that's the bind, and that's your first iframe, and then the sword does damage for a bit, and then you can reactivate it for like another smack. But if you wait too long, it just fizzles and it's just gone. So that's
Yeah,
pretty
the
much.
Demon Slayer is
Second
one
effort.
like that too.
yeah. Demon Slayer is also both of the demons have like similar-ish. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
think
this
that,
is a bit cleaner, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think that for like older people or like newer players that play the older Aran was very
40-year-olds.
Yeah, before rework, right? I
Uh-huh.
think that people were very confused about the origin skill because it was kind of one of its kind. Because you would use the origin and nothing would really happen. You would go into a special adrenaline form that empowered your basics, and they would do a lot of damage. You could also use your hunter spray during that.
Mhm.
That was like a lot of damage, and then you would have to recast. If you don't recast, your origin just disappears. What the cool thing about the origin was is you could put the bind at the start of the origin or at the end of the origin.
Yeah, I think it's the same for Slayer. But for Demon Avenger, like only the first one can bind, I believe. Although I'll have to double check. But I think if you hit the first one while the character can't be bound, if you hit the second one while the character can technically be origin bound again, the second one doesn't have the bind property, I believe.
Yeah, you can choose
Yeah.
for like either first cast or second cast.
Oh, speaking of choosing the bind, that was another thing, right? Where you had that 5th job skill that came in the last one that had like
Yeah,
the bind
Blizzards.
built into it.
Tempest, yeah, Blizzard
Tempest.
Tempest.
Is that's split up now?
Yeah, they gave us an extra key for binds, which I personally think stupid. Because there's no point, because we had Erda binds if you wanted to use a different bind.
But
For
there'd be a time
parties,
where
you
you
can
would,
just do it all.
yeah, where you would want to use it for burst damage, but you don't want to accidentally trigger your bind early. It's mainly for that, right?
Yeah, it just gave you a bunch of options, because before it's like, it was kind of like the last skill you would cast
Yeah.
if you weren't using Origin, which allowed you to just bind it right away instead of having to use an extra key. I guess it's not too bad now, but
If you were using it at the same time, you just have to do an extra action. And it's similar to the Demon Avenger, where we had a skill, we have Forbidden Contract, right? Where you don't use, you don't deal self damage for a little bit. So you use that to set up your burst and things like Fihela, so you don't like bottom out your HP and then have no healing and then die to everything. So you can set that one up. But it was the same as the Hyper skill that gave you like 10% extra damage. So if you used it to set up, then you'd have to like find it again in your buffs and cancel it when you were done setting up, so that you wouldn't increase your HP, because then you would get less final damage increase from low HP as a Demon Avenger in Frenzy. So it actually hurt your damage more than to take the 10% damage on it. So now they just split it up into 2 separate skills, so you can just use one or the other one. So you can get the effect of, you know, not dying when you set up your burst, or you can, and then your HP goes up a little bit, or you can use the effect of just 10% damage if you don't need that. So it's also not ideal, because you used to kind of just use them together, but then you have to find, and you kind of got used to not getting your 10% damage, and that was okay. But now I guess since you have the option, it does require a little bit more finesse to it. But so I guess in some ways the kit did get cleaner and fixed some problems that people had with it, but it seems like in some other ways it got worse. And then on top of that, the damage was cut quite a bit.
Before, like, Tempest, I like the old Tempest a little bit better, just because it's just one key, and it was 3-minute skill, so like it still line up with your burst timer, and you can still use Urgent Bind for your 90-second if you really wanted to. Still, not necessary, but it was fine.
Yeah, now it's a nice.
It's just now it's just they reduced the damage on it to 90 seconds. Doesn't have a bind, and at least in KMS, they gave it an internal cooldown of 0.4 seconds for the procs that happened after the bind. And
yeah, that's how it is now as well.
That really gutted the damage of Aran a lot in KMS. Because before there was no cooldown, and the procs would attack as much as you could attack also. So that's where Aran also really benefited from attack speed 0, is because especially with the Origin, because you're doing so many more lines with the old Origin before the animation, that it would proc so much more of those Tempest procs.
Yeah.
And you would see on my BA that my Tempest is like 20% of my BA, which is insane for like
in like a 40-second or
in the game. In like a 30-second, and like even in a full rotation,
35,
it was like 15% still.
Yeah, it was very strong.
So like it's
yeah, I guess the bind
like,
part doesn't matter too much, because sometimes you would forget to turn it off and you would accidentally bind the balls in a party, and it's like, oops.
Yeah, but if you're trying to like min-max clear, see Kalos or something, and you need like every second of the boss bound, right? And then suddenly you like bind it and it goes out of the timer, that can kind of fuck things up, right?
Yeah, so I think in that regard it's fine that they split the bind.
Yeah.
But they did nerf it a lot, making the 90-second skill. So just a 3-minute.
Yeah, but like it's like the at what cost meme, right? Like it was approved but at what cost?
Aran's 90 seconds is like, it's really shit. It doesn't really do anything.
It's not good.
So it's just a bunch of, you need to press a bunch of buttons, but you don't really get any value out of it.
Yeah, sometimes I just don't even 90 seconds at all, because before the 90 seconds had the Hunter Spray damage, which now it still has a Hunter Spray, but it's a lot weaker.
Yeah. So do you think they mostly tweaked Aran aggressively down because they knew what they were doing with the next mastery cores, and they were already pre-adjusting for that, but the timing in which the updates came out just makes it feel really bad until that stuff comes out? that-
Yeah, I guess so. But
I
like,
guess and no.
like if that were the case, then I don't know. Like, I felt like you should have
Did it-
just not have like Hunter Spray as a second mastery. You should just have
Yeah, or just
boost
make
it.
the. You can still. I'm not saying that that's correct, but that might have been their way of thinking, is what I'm saying. Because they could have
I
also just made the base skill
what-
stronger and just make the mastery weaker, and then people wouldn't be upset now, and then they would still get some damage from when the mastery comes out, but that would just be like
I
less
think-
hype or something.
I think it is more had to do with like how they want to build up excitement for the update, for the milestone update. Was
Mhm.
that they wanted
Yeah, they
all
wanted
like
2
remaster
reworks,
two hero classes that seem a little more outdated visually.
Mercedes, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They probably.
And-
Yeah.
And Aran was one of the bottom like play classes in KMS. Like it is, it was,
Gotcha,
it was like, yeah. People in KMS don't feel the same way as Arans do and GMS. GMS players do about Aran. So,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
they
that's
wanted
always,
to,
yeah.
they wanted to boost up the player rate for that.
Yeah.
So they wanted to be like, oh, you can hyperburn either Shade or Aran, because I would think that a lot of endgame players in KMS, they already had a Shade at 250 anyways. So
Yeah,
like,
for the crit
like,
damage, yeah, so they wouldn't.
give them another hyperburn where like they can actually play a new class, which is Aran.
Yeah.
But like,
And then
I
if they
think
only
they
have it
thought it was
at 260,
fine, but-
they might still like it
Yeah.
for what it is, right? Because they didn't
Yeah.
experience it at the higher level, so they might still experience it for what it is because they didn't lose out on a whole bunch of things. Because that's mainly an Aaron main kind of thing.
yeah, because I think the Aran changes in KMS, it still was a nerf to a lot of the KMS Aran's mains, but like a lot more people did end up playing it just because of it was a new hyper burn, and a lot of like streamers, popular KMS streamers, decided to hyper burn it because they already had the 250 shade.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
then you
don't
get more
necessarily
spotlight.
think it's because of it being a better class.
Yeah.
I think it's just because it's a hyperburn. That's why people play it.
yeah, pretty much.
But then
And-
Hyperburn is a good way to get people invested into it, not just invested into the character, but also wanting the character to do well, right? And then if you start seeing some shortcomings, that might be a good way to still have people advocate for the class to get certain things fixed.
But
Yeah, I
that
just
was
think the
that's
mastery
a
is gonna help.
problem. Though. That's a problem though, because like
No, I'm not saying it's
a
good,
lot of
yeah,
the
for
KMS Arans did express their dissatisfaction with the remaster.
And that should be enough, yeah.
Especially for KMS, KMS players take aesthetics a lot more into like value than
I
a
guess
lot of
'cause-
GMS players do. And
Yeah,
they
we didn't really talk
how
about that.
They lost Fenrir, which is the wolf, a lot, and
Yeah, I think it's kind of ugly now, to be honest.
And the final
it's
blow,
more
right?
like
The polar bear?
yeah,
I like
mean,
that.
the polar bear skill was already like kind of final blow was already kind of like written off already
Totally,
because it's just better to hold down Beyond Blade anyways. When
Yeah, that's true,
it
yeah.
came out,
Mm-hmm.
so that was like already like a done deal, which was okay. But people didn't like how there's less Maha, less pole arm swinging in general, and no Fenrir a lot. That was a lot of like what I saw on Invent a lot.
Because now it's like a turtle, a bird.
A turtle, a phoenix, and like a serpent.
Oh, yeah,
dragon
phoenix.
thing.
Yeah.
So, and Maha is like in less of the kit. It's more in the origin. Yeah, it's more in the origin, but like it's whatever. Like the origin's already it's every 6 minutes, so not a whole lot of Maha in the
Yeah,
kit.
it's not a big part of your game, but there's way more swinging going on.
Yeah,
So,
So-
I guess. Wait, sorry, you finish your thought.
yeah. People, KMS players didn't like that. And then like it just makes it more confusing. Also, that like it looks like from if you look at both Shade and Aran Remaster because they came out together, it felt like 80% of the budget went to the Shade visual remaster and 20 went to Aran, and it just
Yeah, that's
felt
not a
like
good feeling.
because like the music and because I'm playing the Shade also, and like the music and the visuals, they all look really good on Shade and sound really good, whereas Aran it just felt like they just got like the interns to do it, and this is what they scrapped together last second.
Oh
I mean,
no.
Aaron doesn't really have that much anyway, so
Yeah. Well, with Shade, like you get the fox in the background, which is like kind of stolen from Kana a little bit, but it is what it is. And then they had
Oh,
the
yeah.
music with it and stuff, and a lot of the visuals and hitboxes are a lot bigger and like just more pretty colors all the time. Whereas Aran just feels like more like one tone and a lot less flashy and like that's important to KMS players because they don't play with transparency that much.
Yeah,
They see the visuals a lot more.
yeah, because
And
I guess that's the
visuals is
thing.
a lot more important to them. And
Yeah,
they even expressed
that's a good
that as
point.
well. It felt like that Shade got most of the love than Aran did.
Yeah, that is a good point because we were looking at like the functionality and we're looking at how we play the characters and everything, but part of appealing to more casual players as well, right, and the more like beginner players, returning players, that kind of thing, is on the one hand is making the character playstyle more approachable, but on the other hand, like the visuals as well. Yeah, a lot of people still play with visibility on, and I guess in Korea way more so. In GMS, if you want to see anything that you're doing, and you want to take the game seriously, like when you're mobbing, I try to put it on for stream, right, because it just looks a lot better, but the visibility aspect is definitely something to not to overlook if you want to capture the more casual gamer market. That's a good point.
I will say, even in GMS before, when you had all these progression sessions of Adele's, I remember a lot of them saying, I chose it because it looked cool.
Yeah,
And
Adele
that's
did
the
have
aesthetic
that.
of Adele. And like, clearly, I think they wanted new players to feel the same way about Aran, but it just doesn't land that well when you compare it, when you release it alongside the remastered Shade.
Yeah,
And I
that's
would
why a
say,
lot of
like,
people.
I much prefer, even Adele's aesthetic than the new Aran's aesthetic right now.
I think they should have just done a visual update for Aran.
Yeah,
Just like
if they just stuck with the
visual
visual, it would have been fine, I think.
Yeah, I wrote some things down about like what they removed. One of them was Maha's Fury, which gave like 50% attack for what was it, like 50 seconds?
It it was
Or 40?
longer the more hexa you had into it, but yeah,
So like a
the,
minute, I think.
yeah,
And then a 90-second
the
cooldown. Yeah,
percentage
which is
attack
90.
did scale also with the level, but like
Yeah,
if you
so
had it like level 1 hexa, it's only like 33% attack, but that's
Gotcha. Yeah.
basically adding a whole nother emblem on your WSC for your burst.
yeah,
On
you
your
got like a
both your
50%
small burst
bonus.
and your big burst, which is huge. So now Aran scaling, they just took that out.
Yeah, that was our 90 seconds, along with Hunter Spray getting changed
Yeah.
back to
Okay.
like
So
being
now there's
banned.
nothing left of your 90-second basically, with that being gone.
Yeah, you have Tempest now, but Tempest really doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it's not that
I
much.
mean, it's okay, but it's not that great. They also changed the iframe. Before we had a Hunter's
Yes.
or Maha's Domain, which was like a polearm you throw down in the ground. It had a longer cooldown. It was 90 seconds instead of 60, but it did more. It did damage. It cleansed. It healed. And it had like a really snappy animation, so you would know when you were in your iframe. And now it's like really hard to tell when you're using it.
Okay. Yeah, for iframes, that's typically kind of important. Jenny iframe also very reliable, right? Whenever you press it, it definitely always goes off. Right, Kyle?
Yeah.
Yeah, Flip as well. Yeah, you could probably know if you have at least.
I died so many times to Gen AI from not working, like.
Yeah.
And then you accidentally recast it and it turns off. Like.
Turns it into an FMA because that's what everybody wants from that skill.
I wish I had a toggle for it so you couldn't like
Yes,
recast.
turn that off. Yeah.
Yeah, and the origin skill being like just completely removed pretty much. I just made it a generic origin, which I mean I guess is fine, but like it was such a unique skill. It was so different from like every other origin, and like why would you change it when there's so many other classes you can play? Why does it have to be changed?
Yeah, and if you simplify the rest of the kit, it's okay to keep one thing that's maybe a little bit different and maybe a little bit more complicated, but it'll get balanced out by the rest of the kit being made more simple, right?
Yeah.
Before, like it felt like the people that played Aran played it because they liked that playstyle and liked it being a little bit different than other classes. But then they changed it to be more generic, which a lot
it's
of
just a
Aran
very
players
upfront class now. You just press your skills and you're done.
Yep.
We also had multiple adrenaline procs before.
Yep.
Yep.
So you had your origin. When you came out of origin, you would remain at 1,000 combo, or I think it remained at the combo you used it at or something. You would go into adrenaline after your origin again, so it would be like a 40-second adrenaline, And
Yep.
after that adrenaline expired, you had a key to activate adrenaline instantly with no cooldowns. So that instant adrenaline was a 3-minute ability. But
Yes.
the
Was
regular
that a hyper?
adrenaline-
It was hyper, I think, right?
it's something they added later.
It was like a third or fourth skill.
Or
I think
maybe
it's
third or
hyper.
fourth, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
but
something
you were able to go
crazy.
into adrenaline 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Mhm.
On your
So with
6-minute
GMS
burst.
lag, it was like a 70-second burst duration,
Yes.
which was really, really insane.
But if you didn't do that, then you lost a hell of a lot of damage, right? So you kind of had to play like that.
Well, the third adrenaline was optional. For I think for GPQ you would use 2 adrenalines at the start and then 2 adrenalines at the end. Something
Oh,
like
for your
that.
culvert runs to min-max, you mean?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And for bosses, it wasn't necessarily needed, but the double adrenaline for Origin was the best, like, optimal way to play.
Gotcha, okay.
Like the most.
And it didn't mess around with the cooldown timings that much. Like everything still stayed like 3 minutes. It's still on
Okay,
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah, because you had a
and
skill
it-
to go into like adrenaline without using a cooldown. That was the main thing.
Was some of that affected by
Natural
differences in
adrenaline.
GMS and KMS, or was it the same there?
No, that's
maybe
all
the
the same in
duration.
KMS. That was all
Okay.
the same in KMS. But like their adrenaline wasn't really affected by server lag as much because they're right on top of the servers.
Yeah, yeah. Like 8 ping.
But like there was a lot of times where like I'm in adrenaline. It should have ended, but I'm just still in adrenaline, so I'm still dealing a lot more damage also because remember
Mhm.
old adrenaline gave us bonuses, which is extra lines of
lines.
attack, shockwave, bigger
Gotcha.
hitboxes, basically.
Mm.
That was
Which is
that
good
was
for
pretty
training
much
also. Which was good for training also, but
Yeah, that
So
was
not
pretty
as
much
how they
many
took it away.
peaks, not as many peaks in how much longer you could potentially get, just because of ping and everything.
I mean, it's like a
It's
little
like
bit,
fatal
because
strikes,
the,
like a 50
yeah, yeah,
second
yeah.
fatal strike or something, kind of in your kit.
I mean, it kind of only worked on the normal adrenaline because your Origin would always just like timeouts,
yeah.
even with server lag.
Gotcha. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
They also removed Gathering Hook, which was
Animation cancel.
an animation cancel ability, which is very nice. You would like pretty much anything you can, except for Origin. Anything you can, or like used with an animation, like Maha's domain, had a fairly long animation. They did nerf it, like the animation, they nerfed it a little bit, but you could use Gathering Hook to just instantly cancel it, which was very nice.
Oh, you like poked out and there were like 2 blue
Yeah,
squiggly
yeah.
lines, right? Where you're like, technically that's to like pull monsters or something, but you'd never use that because
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
just
you could
kill
use that with
monsters
Sunblade.
anyway.
So you would double tap up and then attack, and that
Yep.
would like break anything you were in. Which was,
okay.
I mean, it wasn't like necessarily needed later on, but like earlier in Aran's life where Maha's Fury took like a long time to cast, it was like
Yeah.
super useful.
Okay. Yeah. That's good to know.
That's like a small thing they removed. That's
Yeah, but all these things add up, right? It makes you lose kind of like the nuance of the class and what made the class special, kind of thing.
For me, particularly the animation cancel really lowered the skill ceiling of the class a lot because like I would see a lot of the high level Arans use it pretty much all the time when they can to optimize damage, especially in
Yeah.
Culvert or like end game bossing. But nowadays you just don't have that.
Yeah.
But you like try to raise the skill floor for everyone else, which is like okay, that's a fine trade off you want to make. But personally, they took away what they took away from the skill ceiling is that manually inputting the combos doesn't give you bonus damage anymore, which is like a huge thing about it.
Yeah. So why does that still exist then?
Yeah, I mean, it still exists because like that's what Aran was before, and
I mean, it's not
kind
so
of-
much.
yeah, I mean, it kind of saves. I mean, practically, it still saves you a lot of slots in your keyboard,
Yeah.
which is like
sure.
good.
Okay.
But there's no reason for you to do it if you can just hotkey it if
Yeah.
you feel like you have the space for it because it's more instant. You don't have to press like 3 things to do your burst anymore, but you do the same amount of damage as the same guy who does manually input it, which is
Yeah.
for the guy who's
More
manually
effort for
inputting
no
it feels
like
better.
extra.
Yeah.
I guess another similarity with like the Kaiser in terms of like what the transformation was. They still have like that weird combo system thing where I think there's still a tutorial quest for it. I don't think I've ever been able to successfully complete it because I don't even know when they're saying like press this button and then do that. I've tried every single combination that I can think of, but I've never actually gotten to complete that quest and actually do it. I don't know what I'm supposed to actually do. I'm supposed to hold it, tap it one time, hold it.
Like, it was like the command link.
Yeah, a command system, yeah. That feels like something that also, there was probably a lot of thought behind it, and it probably kind of worked at some point, but yeah, if you're not going to have it give a functional gain, like, yeah, having it, giving people the option, I think, is okay, right? Like, you want to play it all, and I guess because if people want to play with a controller or something, it's a lot easier that way, right? That you just have those inputs, and it's more like a fighting game, like a Tekken style, like left, up, down, fucking, right, combo system like that, rather than just press a different button for every single skill. That does make sense, but I guess if you really boil it down to what it comes down to, I think they try to lower the skill floor, and they succeeded at that, but in doing that, they also lowered the skill ceiling a lot, and I think that just hurts. The more endgame you are, the more that hurts you, right?
Yeah, and they didn't fix some things that they should have fixed. For example, combat step it's a fine ability, but it's on a 0 job. Oh, it's really easy to miss. For new players, they probably don't even know it's there. It's like the
because they're level. By the time you look at their skills, they're level 140.
Yeah, but you never go to your 0 job, right? Your
almost beginner skill. Yeah, almost
beginner skills. Yeah, and that's where the skill's in. I mean, you probably like accidentally use it because if you double tap, you dash.
Yeah, you die in a boss. Like, what just happened?
And then
that's
for you to like not to double dash that, you have to actually go to your beginning tab and right click it to lock it onto the hotkey. So then they would know about it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's a better version of Rush because you can dash off ledges and you can
it launches you, right? And then if you have good enough ping, you could just like air ballerina smacking while.
No, that's another skill.
That was the old arrow swing. You could.
Yeah, arrow swing would keep you in the air.
Yes, arrow swing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they removed that as well?
No, they didn't. But like, you know,
it doesn't work like that anymore. Or?
You could still dash off of ledges and still try to arrow swing, but like, you know, it's just depending on how far away you from the ground. Like, it's still harder to. It's still hard to cancel your momentum with arrow swing because you have to manually, as you're flying through the air, look in the opposite direction and then hit your basic attack key.
Oh, I mean, I use that a lot for bosses. I think that's really nice.
It is very good for bouncing, but it's not very good for new players.
No, but I mean the gliding. Did they remove that?
Oh, the gliding. I never really used it that much. So for me, it's
still here. It's still here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one thing when I played on EU a little bit.
Yeah, you feel it. It's a big difference.
When I played on EU, I tried to make an Arans just so I could do that move and like hit in the air and then glide thing while you're hitting because that just was impossible for me to make that work on NA server with EU ping. It just wouldn't work. Like I would just fall like a brick too fast. So I could, if it was my main, I probably would like try a lot more and maybe I could get it to work. But I felt like that was. The old arrow swing, that was like where most of the ping reliance was, right? For the class.
I think it's still ping reliance. Not sure.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because when I switched to exit lag, I noticed that it actually worked.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, lowering yourself like 100 ping can definitely make an impact in that, I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, because before, if you were mobbing and then you would actually use your normal attacks, sometimes it would activate on the ground and it would break all your momentum. you were just.
It's like you blinked like a pixel above the ground or something. Be like,
yeah, it's really annoying, but it doesn't happen anymore because of exit lag. They also never fixed up jump. The up jump is significantly better if you use it with a combo.
Yep.
I think most people might use it as a key input, or like just have a skill on their key, right?
Yeah.
And that.
But it's like half the height.
It's really bad.
It's not really worth using at all.
Wait, so the up jump, the up swipe is like if you use it from the ground, you could always use 2, right? Or you can jump and you use it once. This is like the super noob level that I know. And you're just saying if you use it as the combo input, it's higher.
It goes a lot higher, yeah. If you use the like up and then attack key, you just go a lot higher. If you use it as a key, just like on your
versus
skill
the skill
bar.
key. Gotcha.
Yeah,
It's
it
a
like
different height.
it doesn't.
Oh.
You don't even get off the ground, pretty much.
Yeah, it's like half the height. Basically.
Okay. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
always use it with the combo. So it's even more extreme than like the old was it the up stab for dual blade where they could do like with the up arrow key and then it would be higher, and then without it would be kind of just like a poke in the air kind of
You
thing.
can kind of compare it to like warrior up jump for explorers, but
Oh god, please don't. I hate that mobility, dude. And then my Lara is like the same thing. Like, oh god, why did they do this?
yeah, they're really bad. But like you kind of, it's kind
Oh.
of the same for a run if you use this as a key
Okay.
compared to if you use it as a skill.
With those up jumps, after you do it, and then you try to, like, at the right time flash jump to a direction after it, like 30% of the time, it might be a ping thing as well, it just doesn't jump you, and you just fall again. You just fall right into something. And you're like, well, I was pressing flash jump, like, multiple times to jump out of it, and I know I can still flash jump. But if you're at least, like, a little bit of mortal danger, it just won't work and kill you, and if it's perfectly safe, then it'll always work 100% of the time. It's
For
like
a
my
run
anim-
or for
for the Lara, for like Mihail, you know, for
yeah.
for Dark Knight, like that up jump after, and then trying to flash jump out. I feel it might be a ping reliance thing, but I feel like it's so clunky after that. Whether you're actually going to be able to flash jump out and do
I
something.
made a TK burning for a bolsing mule, and I just that up jump. It's depressing.
But you guys have a regular up jump as well because you're a hero character, no?
No, it's not a. This is the only up jump we have.
You
Yeah.
guys are one of the only ones still without one. Yeah, okay. So do you use rope lift sometimes then?
You can.
Yeah, if I'm lazy.
I don't personally use it.
You're lazy. Okay. I guess if you're a
I
combo
find it-
user,
I
you have the
find it-
keyboard space for it.
Well, one of the reasons why I played Arans is because like it's one of the classes I can play with a lot less keys on my keyboard. So I was like very happy when Six Shadow came out. I'm like, oh, I still have plenty of space on my keyboard compared to
Yeah.
other characters.
Meanwhile, you're a
If they-
Ho-Young or an Adele, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
are
I've
you
been like a Ho-Young, Adele, Kane, Mercedes, which I mean I played pretty
Yeah.
much all of them before. Like
Mhm.
this is I don't know how there has to be more space. Yeah, there has to be more space on the keyboard. But with Aran, I felt like I could always keep my keyboard nice, condensed, and clean. And then adding more Six Shadow would be getting me to that level of Ho-Young, Adele, which is
Yeah,
fine.
I don't know
but
how people
for
do
them. For them, it's like I need more keys on my keyboard, basically, which
Yeah.
is a lot harder of a problem to solve than.
Did you get that foot
Then
pedal engaged?
The double keyboard setup.
Yeah. So, I didn't mind not having like a dedicated regular up jump or something. Like I just never had to bind it to a key. Just don't really have
I
to.
mean, you learn to play around it, right? As long as the class has a lot of cool other stuff, then that's just the thing that you're okay with, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that Aran is like the only class that actually uses their attack key for stuff.
I guess Demon Slayer during the...
Oh, for your glide or
Right. For like the lash, the regular.
Yeah,
Demon
Demon Lash during the Demon Awakening, I think, right?
Demon Awakening.
They still
Yes.
use it, but that's about it?
I want to say there was another class I played. that
Yeah,
used
there's gotta be at
attack key, but I
least
can't
one
remember.
more.
I mean, Explorer Warriors kinda, but it sucks because it takes up a key.
Yes, that's the bad part.
That's so weird too, because I was trying to like jump attack, but if you jump attack with a direction, then it makes the downward slash, I feel. So I was trying to see if I could do Vellum with only basic attacks, but then as soon as you start doing that, you start slashing down into the tail, and then you completely go to different
Yeah.
momentum, and like, this is weird. Oh, Kadena
Ron-
uses it? And I think it might be
yeah.
Hayato as well that it triggers the actual attack, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, for the Hayato, it's the for the Kadena, it's like the regular chain thing that you use to animation cancel, right? Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, oh man, Kadena, I haven't played in a long time. Project CRA first class was Kadena. Got top voted by Noah back in the day, I remember.
The Monka.
It was crazy though, because
scary
one of
class.
those characters where I had no idea what I was doing, and then in like 2 or 3 or 4 attempts, I was able to like 5x, 6x my damage by just kind of learning the basics and by figuring out how I can counter the boss with my damage. And it was one of those where,
Like having your muscle memory stacks up as well helps a lot.
yeah, and just being able to build the muscle memory to do the muscle memory, right? But I think like Kyle was saying, you're talking about about a lot of the different classes that you tried out that have like a similar level of complexity, but for some that comes with some extra baggage that you might not want, right? Like having to have 3 keyboards to put all the skills on. That's maybe not exactly what you're looking for when you're trying to find characters that are a bit more complex and a bit more challenging to play.
Yeah, I saw the Cadena is getting like how many
Every
skills?
skill.
Like 14 skills? For,
Yeah,
for
13,
Hexa or
14,
something?
it's something like that, yeah. They basically everything else they threw in there.
I was like, what the
Some
hell?
of them look really cool, yeah.
Scary.
11? Wasn't it, was it 11? Oh, Zero got more. Zero got 13 or something. I think Evan got like 11 or 12 as well. There was a lot of, yeah.
It's funny how some
skills
classes
strength and
like get no bossing at all. I think AB is just mobbing.
stuff. Oh yeah, they did the
Yeah, it's like it's
dragon
like
skills. Like, wow, that's so
the
fantastic.
Supernova and then the Primal Roar, which is a
Yeah, look at all these classes, like 40 new
Yeah.
bossing skills. AB. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, then you have to wonder, did they overpace themselves there and like kind of like fix the class, and then there's nothing left to fix for with the masteries, right? And then with Aran, they didn't want to make the same mistake, and then they overcorrected the other way, where they're like, well, we'll keep it weaker so that when the mastery comes, they'll be more hyped for that.
Yeah, that's what
But-
I was thinking. Because Aran didn't really have anything to put into mastery. I mean, I guess adrenaline, but I don't really know how they would have done that because it just gave extra lines. Maybe the shockwaves would deal more damage, but
I think
That's
for
about
me personally, it was before like the remaster Aran is better for the ceiling of Aran's future for 6th job, because all the masteries had to be something that was boostable in 5th job, and adrenaline before was not boostable. So
yeah, now it's gonna be
now,
useful now.
now it is, and now it's gonna
Oh,
have
okay,
it.
yeah. Well, you
But
say
that-
that a lot.
But
yeah.
for me, that was an unnecessary change, because a lot of times you see a lot of these masteries that came out. It might be a useless skill, but then they just make it passively boost your actual
Yeah.
useful skill.
That was my main problem with this last 3rd and 4th mastery, though, because they were presenting it like, oh, we're rounding out the kits, but it seemed like they were more like, we're just putting random shit in there so that people have to buy more fragments. Because you saw a lot of them between the 1st and the 2nd test period. I haven't gone over the full patch notes yet, but that they started redistributing where the damage came from and which skills got buffed, not because they wanted the whole class to perform differently, but just because they wanted both of the mastery cores to have more inherent value so that people feel forced to level up both of them and buy more fragments and play the game more. And
Money.
that seems to be where they're adjusting the damage for and which things give the damage for. That felt a little bit gross, honestly.
Yeah, for me, like you could have done the hero thing. Like you could have just had Final Blow be boosted, because we already boosted that on our original trio before the remaster, and you could just have it passively boost Beyond Blade or Hunter Spray, which
Yeah.
is fine. That's like those 2 skills what defines Aran a lot, anyways. It's those 2 skills.
It's kind of like with
you know, like-
Marksman, right? I think Marksman
Yeah.
was saying like, oh, we just have Snipe 1, Snipe 2, Snipe 3, and Snipe 4,
Yeah,
essentially.
everything else is just a passive boost to snipe anyway.
Yeah.
So like, I think that would have been fine with Aran with doing that. But like it felt like they wanted to give Aran a little bit more complex, like a more like, I don't know, like a better future for Aran possibly by adding
By
by
lowering the damage by
remastering.
30%.
remastering it and redistributing the damage of all his skills.
They're like, yo,
and
look at all this
more-
damage we're getting in his mastery update. Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that you can go
We're
back to where
almost
you
like-
already were. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for me. I think the future of Aran is better with the remaster for 6th job, particularly in that aspect. But I think
There wasn't
the
a reason to.
execution and the timing is just bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
they should have
the-
shifted together.
Yeah, how they could have shifted it a little bit more. Maybe you guys would have benefited a lot on Aran if the 3rd mastery would have come out a bit sooner, and then the 4th maybe a little bit later or something, and then it would have been a bit cleaner of a transition.
I mean, them coming out at the same time doesn't really matter too much, I think.
No.
Well,
not
I guess
really.
it depends on which skill is in which. But I was just saying, for the fact that you're like a little bit underpowered now, and then even if it does get fixed, it'll still feel bad that you were underpowered for the time that you were, right? And that you got such a kick in the balls in terms of your current damage.
Yeah, so like it might actually make us stronger than Aran. Maybe.
In the future.
Yeah, in
in
the
the
future, if you get mastery to like max, because adrenaline is gonna be. I mean, honestly, adrenaline is like really shit now, because it doesn't
Yeah.
really do any damage. It's just the skills that it unlocks.
Yeah.
But it's fine. But last stand getting a mastery is like massive because it's. I think right now it's 912,000%. That's pretty high for a non-boosted 6-job skill.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. Okay.
But like, I mean, they're giving adrenaline like a new, like tornado or whatever, and like a better Lord of the Deep when the third, fourth mastery comes out for adrenaline. And supposedly I've seen on the Aran Discord that that's where some people speculated where Maha's Fury's damage went into. But like, if for me it's like you still took out the scaling of the class by taking out a skill that gives us percentage weapon attack during
Yeah, the percent attack. Yeah.
which is
50%
a
is
lot
high.
worse. Yeah, it is a
Really
it's a lot
high.
worse.
And the skill on its own, like the skill on its own, like did a lot of damage as well.
Yes.
It wasn't just
Whenever it
50%,
did
it
the
was all
random tornado procs. Yeah.
Yeah, you had like tornado procs that
Yes.
did
Yeah.
double
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah. The snow tornado around you, right? And
Yeah.
yeah. I remember that.
But the main thing was like it empowered us for for our mini burst and big burst.
Yeah,
so,
it did damage and it gave you more damage, pretty much.
Yeah. And so like
Yep.
it always felt good for Aaron to like still
Was
invest in the class
Was
because
the
like,
90-second?
scaling is there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then going
was
from
every
that to
90
this 90-second is like, what the fuck?
If,
I mean, it was a
like,
90-second
right now-
with like a 60-second duration. So you had it up like a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we get without without sixth job, if it's just level 25
I mean, I
on
think
the
it was still
node,
at 40.
it's 45 seconds. It lasted 45 seconds, and
Mhm.
it was up every 90 seconds. So 50% uptime is really good still.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah, it was
I-
all
I-
around like a very strong skill.
yeah,
And then
it-
it just like snapped out of existence and
yeah. I mean, that's why it felt so good to Star Force because you're getting weapon attack, so it's just more of a boost.
Yeah, true. Scaling with that. Yeah, any kind of percentage attack or percentage final attack, right? Of final damage on different sources is always good. Future scaling, and then whenever that gets taken away, it's like, it's not just the fact that this skill right now is doing less or that I'm right now getting stronger, but like in my entire scaling has to be addressed. The thing that I'm almost kind of hearing is, remember when we went from what it was still back then, like reboot EXP for monsters to non-reboot EXP for monsters, and just like that initial hit was like, what the fuck? Like, how are we ever going to do anything? But then one new area came out, 2 new areas came out, 3 new areas came out, like within the
over
span
time
of
it's
like
gonna
one
fix
update.
itself, but-
And then suddenly it's like, oh, our rates are still higher now, even with like that enormous adjustment. Like it sometimes we have to take a big hit like that. I'm not saying like, again, I'm not saying like that's a good thing. It's probably like a little bit of an overcorrection for course correction for them. But a lot of time it is connected to things that are coming, that are already coming down a pipeline for them. But for us, it still takes a long time, maybe 6 months, a year, maybe even a year and a half before those changes really go through. But they might lose some people along the way who are not willing to wait around that long, right? When adjusting.
And it's good reason. Why should you?
Yeah, why
there's
should
other
you? No.
games that
There's a million
that are-
other games, yeah, that want to have you as a
that
player,
are-
so...
right now, yeah. Especially
exactly.
like in Korea,
Yeah.
a lot of times it looks like that Maple Story does take a lot notice of what Lost Ark does in particular. And I see a lot of the players float between the two games a lot, so they
Yeah.
Forcing you to play multiple characters.
yeah. And so like for me, it's like why would you gut like a player base that a lot of the KMS Arans did decide to quit. A lot of the Arans here also quit, including myself, pretty much.
Yeah, I still have hope.
Why would
for
you?
6
Why
job
would you
mastery.
do that? Yeah, I mean, there's always hope. I'm always going to hang on that, maybe our next origin skills or whatever's in that origin branch is going to be really good. That,
But you're not investing for,
compensate
like, the next-
losses.
You're not investing
But
for the
like,
next week,
why do
right?
Why
Yeah.
should I wait? Why do I need to
Months,
wait
a year.
18 months
Yeah.
for that to release when I could be having fun now playing like
yeah.
Lost Ark, whatever, or playing a different character in general? And
I
to
don't
me,
remember.
that really
Was it the the interoperability and the cube stuff where Lost Ark suddenly just like shot to like 3 ranks up on the top 10 played in Korea because all of the Maple Story players basically just fucking all moved over, and then they had to do the really big compensation, right? With the with all of the honor exp and all of the flames that we got.
The Mesa, I think, right? We got like a hell of Mesa.
I feel like this was in April, or if we got it in April or something of, was it 2020?
Yeah, something like that.
Beginning of
remember
COVID or something? Because also everyone was at home, everyone was locked down, so everyone was gaming, and everyone was like, no, we're not standing for this shit. Like, we're all just moving over to Lost Ark. And so Lost Ark, whoop, and like, Maple Story just imploded, and they immediately had to take action because it was a huge difference, I remember,
Yeah, you would get your Meso back for all the, was it miracle circulators you bought? Something like that.
Oh, that as well. Yeah. But, well, in non-reboot, they bought a lot of those with NX, right?
Oh yeah, and Reboot was Meso. So you would get back like what you used on it. So either an X or a
It was
Meso.
crazy. Yeah, I just remember getting like 18,000 flames, and I had never bought a flame. It was only just from bossing, and I got just so many. It was insane.
They had like a log of how many flames you used from like 2016 to 2019.
Yeah,
or something
was it
like
less
that.
2 years or less 4 years or something? Because that's just how far back they went. Like, but it could have been even more if they actually had longer logs.
Yeah.
Oh god, it was so many. And then people started saying like that if you got like a 130 flame score on a pap mark that was not really high enough, it's like, bro, stop putting your 20,000 compensation flame like standards on top of on people who have like regular flame income. Like, it's so so unrealistic. But yeah, they really had to adjust that.
So,
okay, so
and and with Sixth Job, it felt like for me, it's like Sixth Job always, even if you're in reg server where you could buy the fragments in KMS initially, you still had to farm it or get the energy still from bossing and from farming. So like Sixth Job in general, I think it's a system where it requires time more than anything else. So like as an Aran player in KMS and as an Aran player in GMS also, like why would I invest all this time to play something that was weaker before? Than before, and doesn't really have that much of a future that I can see. I mean,
like Bishop
internally
did, right?
they can probably see it. They can
there's no mastery to invest in either because
they're planning like a year plus ahead, but for us, we can't see that, so we don't know what's coming up.
No.
So,
and
it's
even
like,
for GMS players, like the mastery, it's still gonna be a while before we get it. So there's no you can't invest in it now.
Yeah,
they really should have shipped it together.
Stuck with energy, right?
Yeah, even if you have
could stuck up on fragments, but then you're just like waiting for energy every day. And even then, like it's not like you're just stock up 4,000 fragments. Lol, like that's a lot of playing.
Yeah, you can make another character or like.
And have fun, like Kakao was saying, have fun now instead of hopefully in 6 months or a year or in 18 months. Yeah.
So if they shipped it together, the Arans that became weaker were like, okay, maybe if I invest in this mastery, it's gonna fix my damage loss. But you can't even do that now because you still have to wait like 6 months or 5 or whatever.
Yeah, and then they would have had a hype from Shade one event, and then the hype from Aran the next one. Like it still would have been hype. So
yeah.
But I guess maybe they decided internally it wasn't enough.
No.
So they just ship it together.
Yeah, the rework really feels like they had like an agenda to push for the mastery, because Aran wouldn't really have benefited from any other mastery besides what they have right now.
Yeah.
So it really felt like a rushed rework in a sense, where they like had to make a rework for the upcoming masteries. But I don't know.
They just gave too much. I feel like they gave too much weight to more casual, uninitiated, like beginner players, and then they just didn't give enough of a address to the fundamental problems with the character that more the endgame community had, and lowered the skill ceiling too much as well. That there wasn't anything to compensate for the losses there.
I mean, they did address some of like one particular problem, Aaron, before was a lot of times I would have described it as like one of the few classes in MapleStory that, there's some classes that are front-loaded bursts and then some classes that are back-loaded bursts. Aaron was more like a middle burst, which is very awkward for party bossing in particular. And solo bossing, it doesn't matter where you land, but but for party bossing in particular, being mid when everyone else is either front or back is kind of really awkward.
You had your
Because-
burst was like 70 seconds long. Like
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, but the most damage would come from when your Tempest, Dire Wolf Curse procs were on, and that lasted 15 or 20 seconds. But like your adrenalines all like combined together, it's like 45, 50 seconds. If you're doing the third one on extra, like it's 70 seconds or whatever, which is really awkward, especially for your origin burst.
It's kind of like with the Buck origin as well, right? I know they have to, because they have like an empowerment, and then they have a really big hit at the end again.
Like yeah, and like Dawn Warrior, they're backloaded, but that's a lot easier to do and line up bind timings than being in middle.
It's easier.
Having one guy in the 6-man party be middle. So like for me as an Aran before, I would never really bind because it would mess up everyone else's timing.
Yeah, you would always wait.
But for now, like it's a lot more streamlined to be front loaded. So
I guess they had to do that for the smaller parties as well, right?
I will say the party bossing for Aran now on the remaster Aran is better in terms of timing, but not in terms of damage. Damage is a very
way to get around it though.
Yeah, there was a way to play around it, but it wasn't intuitive for a lot of players.
Yeah,
I think now it's a lot more intuitive.
Use your origin. So you would use your origin for like 10 seconds, and then if you were halfway in your origin, you would use all your all your buffs.
Yeah.
With like roar and AB.
And AB and Tempest.
And then you would use your hunter spray, like all your burst. You would recast origin, and then after origin ends, you would instantly go into adrenaline again.
Yep.
And then use all your burst.
Like and use it again. Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
So I think that's the problem that most like new players had, and what Nexon might have seen is like it's weird.
Yeah, it's not intuitive. You wouldn't think of that before.
If you play Aran, it feels very natural because you get used to it. But if you don't play Aran, you're like,
yeah, everyone has their
where's all my like how do I damage? How do I burst? How do I?
It's like, even why am I doing less damage than this guy? You know, that's played it for a long time. You know?
And even if it is a good fix, once you're getting used to it, having to change what you're getting used to will always feel bad, even if it is a good fix. But then if it goes, again, like we said before, like if it goes on top, it goes coupled with also damage cut, then there's just nothing really for you to hold on to, like, well, or there's very little for you to hold on to in the moment itself, where, you know, oh, you're basically coping if you're still holding on to the character then. Like you're trying to justify a major nerf because you, like almost fallacious sunk cost, right? Like, because, well, you've already spent so much time and so much, spend so much time on a character, you don't want to let it go.
Yeah, I think the day of the rework,
Freud's. Oh yeah, Freud's as well to juggle.
Yeah, timing Freud's also, yes.
A little timing. Yeah, I think the day of the rework, I tried Damien. It took me like 20 minutes because I was so lost on everything. I didn't because usually you use adrenaline and you would become strong.
Yeah, and now adrenaline is nothing. Yeah.
It's
like now all your damage is in last stand, and I didn't know how last stand worked because you have to spam it 3 times to like use it fully. Yeah, I just used it once, and I was like, okay, well, where's my damage?
Yeah, and you can't hold it down either. You have to press it 3 individual times.
Yeah, so it took me like 20 minutes to get through Hard Damien before it took like a minute, and I'm like, what? What they
you
do?
just figuring out as you were going, yeah.
I was also gonna say with the remaster also they did at least make the burst more condensed, which was what a lot of Arans before really didn't like, is that how our burst was very elongated and not very optimal for party meta. Because eventually in solo, like you can just blow everything up eventually, but like in party meta where like it actually takes a lot of time and commitment and practice, and it's better to line up with party than.
Well, yeah, then people are going to be like, oh no, I don't want to play with an Aran because, you know, I tried that before, and then they have a lot of difficulty with their burst, and then you have to play around them specifically, and that makes it awkward for you to ask, like, hey, could you guys wait like 18 seconds to burst so I could do my thing? It's like, ugh.
And you're wondering why the Aran is still bursting for like the past 2 minutes?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're ready to burst? It's like, oh, sorry, I'm still bursting, actually.
Yeah. But like, so it being more condensed was what a lot of like the end game Arans in the Discord were. They kind of liked that idea, but when it, you know, at a cost of 30+% of our damage, it's not really.
You can hope last stand mastery fixes that, and like but still, I think a lot of Aran players already like quit the class because of that.
Yep.
Yeah,
mean,
I guess as like a closing question, because there's definitely, understand why people do it. Do you feel like it's just asking too much from players with like how much time the investment is?
I think the rework was too much. Like it was too big. They changed way too much at once.
But like it's too much of like blind faith of like, yeah, just stick around with the class that you've invested everything into, because trust, it'll probably get better. Like you can't really, because on the face when I hear like, oh, in 6 months in Korea the Arans losing a lot of damage, and then people are like talking about quitting even before it's even in the live server in Korea, I always feel like people are exaggerating. But it's easy to say because it wasn't my class, right? But do you guys feel like the general response of the community was like warranted, was like appropriate? Because if you're saying 30% FD, like that's an insane
ridiculous.
amount of damage lost.
Yeah,
if it's like single digit or like up to 10% FD lost, then it's like kind of like whatever, you stick to the class. But if it's a fundamental class change, you're not happy with all the changes, and 30% FD, you feel like in general the response was warranted?
Yeah, well, it was definitely too much at once. I think if they kept the damage like equal, people might have stayed, because I still think that the class got a like big rework on how you burst. It's a lot different, but like nerving 30% final damage on top of that is just way too much. It's like, like for example, if DA gets a rework, and they suddenly change it to a strength class, and they also nerf the damage by 30%. You're like, what the fuck? I don't want to play this class.
Wait, I don't think there's 30% damage to nerf from DA. That will be healing the boss. No, but I get your point. Yeah.
Yeah, and they nerf like a lot of skills and it changed stuff. Like it's just so much. We lost so many things. The only thing we kept pretty much is like Beyond Blades, and maybe Carnage. But like the rest is so much different. The burst is a lot different. Even Hunter Spray got changed to like changed back to what it was before. And then they kind
unpopular opinion. I like the way it was before.
I like the dash.
I like this Hunter Spray because it's more instant. Before it was when the new Hunter Spray got second mastery, it became like a swinging thing, you pull on thing for like 3 seconds or something like that.
I mean,
which was a lot of damage, which I liked, but it wasn't instant. Which was the problem, because if the boss moved, especially when you're party bossing, and like I said before, when you're party bossing, you're not really in charge of the binds. When the boss is bound, it's kind of missing. You kind of can miss a lot of your damage, because once again, also the damage distribution was on Hunter Spray before, so now, it's back to instant but less damage. But I like how it's
different instant skill.
Yeah,
I guess.
So, I mean, yeah,
that's always an issue, right? With like Adele can do a lot of damage, especially if you're looking at like a BA or something. If you can confirm all of your returns, all of your blossoms, all of your full ruins, all of your, there was like that min-maxing thing. I don't know if you guys know about that with like the shard breaker, right? Where if you press it at exactly the right time, all of them would like stack on top of one target, and they would do like 12 times the damage or something, right? And whenever those things get fixed, if people had figured it out and they knew how to do it perfectly, it's like a huge nerf for them. But you can also definitely see the argument where like this is not the general experience that they were going for players, that they would have to either have to do this or feel bad and feel like a noob that they wouldn't be able to do it or didn't want to do it, right? But there's always going to be a group of people that gets more hurt by it. But I think you guys are both very reasonable in the fact that, like, yeah, there's definitely something switch, and it's definitely not like all bad, but it's just too much of a swing the other way that it feels like an overcorrection for something. And even if there is, a lot of positive things on the horizon, and it does seem like the third and fourth mastery are going to look pretty cool, it does seem like there's too much of a weight there, and that's too much of a demand for people who are playing the character to just stick with it in the hopes that in 6 to 8 to 18 months or 6 to 12 to 18 months or whatever, their class will be relevant or at the level again where another character could be, and that they could just play in the meantime. I think that's
especially with Legion Champion also being a thing now, that like you need to focus on if you're an endgame player, that is. You want to. That's
years of investment.
Focus on five other characters.
We lost Argna. Woo.
It's hard to justify to keep playing Aran as it is.
it's a
Especially
bit
if you
easier.
don't like the visuals and stuff.
There's probably some part of that is like the interactive brain or like the non-reboot brain, right? Where you could technically just sell off your gear and switch to another character, and you have catalysts, and you have ways of kind of transferring that value to another character, so it's maybe not as big of a deal. But and the fact that Reboot has gone there, that's also a big aspect, I think, of how they're thinking about moving things around that GMS will have to think about as well, where it's hard sometimes to pinpoint that something was not thought of because it wasn't thought of, right? Until suddenly you're confronted with the problems that come from not having had someone with a voice for that reason. I mean, it's like that very, very stupid thing I always think about where, like, was it like soap dispensers or automatic washcloth dispensers or something in bathrooms wouldn't respond to like black people's hands or something because the skin, or like any other skin color, because it was just trained on like white people and right? And it's like, you don't know that it's missing this crucial function unless suddenly you're confronted with it not working properly, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's good to have in the whole process of the designing and the engineering to have a lot of different voices and a lot of people coming in to give feedback so that you can make sure that what you're actually trying to do, you're also achieving, and that what you're achieving is actually what you're trying to, like, goes both ways. Okay.
I mean, the last straw for a lot of the Arans and GMS that held on to so much cope when the remaster was announced was,
or the demaster they called it, right?
Yeah, the demaster. Even a channel in the Aran Discord is called a demaster with the lying down thing. Like KMS always does.
The dead people lying down.
Yeah, laying down. Yeah, but there was 3 waves of test server until it went to live patch for the remaster.
Yeah.
And none of the feedback was taken except the Hunter Spray iframe getting. Originally, they gave us Hunter Spray, but it didn't have an iframe on the original when they announced it.
Hell no.
And then on the test server, it's like, give us back our Hunter Spray iframe. But at the cost of 25% of its final damage. They gave us the iframe back of Hunter Spray. Which was, and then to say, like, it's, when it came to GMS and Maple Fest, and it said stronger class identity, or like,
stronger class identity. So you removed like 4 skills.
Yeah, and you made the combo system irrelevant, basically.
Which was the whole identity. Yeah.
There's no reason for combo to exist.
Yeah, and they literally call it a remaster. Like, the fact the damage nerfs happen all the time to classes, which I'm okay with.
I mean, I would understand if Aran was like number 1. But it was like a very average class that not a lot of people played. So like, why would they nerf it so hard? I don't understand.
Yeah. I think it had good capacity. You'd see some like late game and end game Arans do some really funky shit. But you can always, for every class, you can find a few end game people who have actually everything maxed out, and that they will surprise you.
I mean, if you have like 400 mil CP, of course you're gonna like delete something.
Yeah.
But
like Blaze Wizard is seen as like a very, very weak class now, but I was checking the dojo rankings, and it was like a Blaze Wizard rank 1, and I'm like, oh, I mean, maybe not everyone is doing that, and it's just like a specific piece of content, but it must mean that it's not like completely useless and can do absolutely nothing, right? There's got to be something to every single class, but yeah, even if they're advocating so hard for it.
The best aspect of Blaze Wizard is just dojo, because I'm in the voice chat with Fuda a lot, and unironically, he's one of the top 10 Blaze Wizards on the server.
Damn, so he's one of the Blaze Wizards, yeah?
Yeah, so, like, hearing that, it's like, okay, dojo, like, Blaze Wizard's really only good at dojo, because, like, everything else, you've seen his crazy weapon flame. It's one of the best, like, Genesis weapon flames on the server, and he still does, like, less than half the damage of, like, a Night Lord does on the burst. And, like, the fact that the burst is also, like, 10 seconds long with no iframe, like, kind of like a worse version of Bishop's Divine Punishment. It's pretty bad. And sure, you get the abnormal status resistance skill, but that doesn't match your cooldowns, because plays with a 2-minute class, but that skill is a 3-minute cooldown. So
yeah, skill desyncing is always a wild thing to me. Like that can happen, but as soon as you have any kind of skill rebalance, one of the main things you've got to be checking is, are all the skills like lined up? Like Ho Young's burst was so wonky for so long, where it's like, how does that even happen? When how can you give one class 4 different cooldowns that don't sync? Like that's just Do you just hate them? Like, why is this? Yeah, that can't be a thing
That
for
was
too
the
long.
same with Aran before, I think. We had like a minute and then 90 seconds, 2 minutes. I think.
Oh yeah. Way
Like two
before.
different systems that
Especially
were
before,
half overlapping.
I believe Destiny was like the patch that they lined up everything to be
Yeah, a lot of
perfectly
classes
90
had like
seconds
super
or 3
wide
minutes.
cooldowns.
Yeah. So yeah, I did remember that. The Aaron's like cooldowns did not match up for a
Yeah,
little
you have
bit.
like a 60, a 90, like 100, 120, 150, like 180, and like,
Yeah.
why is everything different?
So that you could synchronize with any party, bro. It's your Swiss Army knife of synchronization.
It was so confusing.
I will say like also on that note like I think the old before the remaster, Aaron was kind of flexible. You could play it like as a 2 minute party or a 3 minute party.
Yeah, because of the combo.
Yeah, because you can go in adrenaline as long as you had 1,000 combo. It's fine.
Yeah, you could use your 90 seconds as the 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You just
you told it a little bit longer, but it was
Yeah.
still.
You
would
would
just
ring
use
swap
one
also with weapon jump and roar to compensate
mhm.
for any damage loss possibly, which is
Gotcha.
fine. But now it feels like it's strictly just a 3 minute class.
Yeah, now it's just 3.
And a 90, and like I'm even ring swapping in my solo bossing. The weapon jump burst doesn't feel that great still. So
The 90 seconds is just some chip damage, pretty much.
yeah,
Like, some
it
extra
feels
damage.
like as someone said in the Discord recently, it just feels like we're Night Lord, but with better survivability, but also less damage than Night Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So the uniqueness of the class and taking away the uniqueness of the class and asking players to, maybe stay around this class for X amount of time, is asking a little too much. But I guess in KMS it's a little bit different because now everything's reg server. You can buy frags, and like I said before, like you still need to farm energy. It still takes a lot less time to farm energy in reg than for us in heroic or reboot to farm frags. So like it's still a time commitment, but it's not nearly as much of a time commitment to swap a class or to stick with a class for a little bit. Just to see like, I want to see like maybe the next summer patch. Aran's going to be like one of the best bosses in the game. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had that benefit of looking into KMS, right? That's a benefit. So you can, if you're not okay with how big those changes are, then you could pause early, you could dip early, like you did, right, with the switching to bishop pivoting.
Yep.
And if you are okay with it, then you at least know what you're signing up for. So that's definitely the benefit of being 6 months behind, or generally 6 months behind. I guess for these class changes, we got them. I think it was 2 months after, right? We got them quite a bit earlier than expected.
Yeah.
Like 2.5 months or something. Yeah, it was way earlier. But
yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess I want to thank you guys for your input. If you guys want to keep yapping about about Arans, it sounds like you guys could go on for days. But
there's
I guess
a lot more to say, man. There's always a lot more to say.
There's a lot of nuance with the class if you played it for a long time. Yeah.
Like the only reason I'm still playing the class is because the movement is just super fluid. You have a lot of freedom.
Yeah, it's still unique in its own movement, which is really good.
Yeah, there's no other class in the game that moves like Aran, but like the burst is just so much different than it used to be. So I understand that a lot of people want to quit because it's just not the same. But yeah, it's
definitely a lot more complex than just like we lost FD. For some people, that's enough, right? Like, oh, you lose so much FD, like I'm not going to stay with the class. But I think for most people, because you're maining a character not just for the damage it does. And if
look at Bishop.
If it's an Aran, especially not because of that, right? You must love something about it.
They lost like hella party buff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the Bishop players are still playing the class because it's still a good class.
Yeah, and they're still wanted in party bossing.
It's still relevant for its role. Yeah, it didn't destroy its identity. Like that's the main thing, right?
For Arans, for a lot of the endgame Arans though, it really felt like we were one of the strongest DPSs in the game, but now it feels like we're one of the weakest. Especially now before the 3rd and 4th mastery. So for a lot of the endgame Arans, there was a reason to stop playing and switch. And even like Swirls, which is like the top Aran in Barra or whatever, he said like at some point, I'm not gonna put more money into this class.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think I remember you saying that like very early on, right? When the changes in Korea were coming out.
It doesn't feel worth it. So
yeah.
that's a pretty big thing because real money's involved with that. So
yeah, exactly. It's not just like a visuals and ooh, I don't like how blue this skill is. It's way more tangible than that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like
and Aran's identity was like being in adrenaline and swinging, and now it's like, okay, you use adrenaline, use your cooldowns, and we're done.
Yeah.
Now we wait 3 minutes.
And I was supposed to be in snow, but now there's like this fire phoenix that's breathing fire. Like, what's
Yep.
is that weird to anyone else? The fucking
Yeah.
phoenix breathing fire is like, you were supposed to be snow. Is that to get you out of the ice? Like, I don't.
I mean, we
I mean-
had Phoenix before, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's,
I think-
it's weird.
I think for the GMS at least, like the visuals are okay with some people, not okay with like a lot of people, but some people are okay with it. But
I
It's
mean,
not an
for
important
me,
part,
yeah, the
right?
visuals,
For
it's just,
GMS?
the functionality is just
Yeah,
it's
functionality is more fun.
not the same.
Yeah, it's so much
If
different.
you're an
from what I
endgame
said,
focused player, the damage is important for sure. If you're not playing a support, and Aaron's barely provided any support.
I mean,
So-
before
We did, like,
had
40
100%
attack
or
from
Master
a-
Man. Like
from
the
we
a
still have
Master
we
skill.
still have Maha's blessing, and we
And you have the
Del
slow,
Move
right? A little bit.
before. And the slow,
he's
yeah,
slow.
which
Yeah,
is good
slow's
for
pretty
me.
good.
That can be useful.
And for Hard Lotus also early on.
There's a
before
lot of
the
bosses that
remaster.
benefit from the
Yeah.
slow. I mean, before you had Hunter's or Maha's Domain, which cleansed,
Yes.
which was actually
That's
a
nice.
And
super
heal.
good skill, and it healed.
And
It
heal.
cleansed and it healed
That's
the
good.
entire party.
Yep.
And it
So
also
like
had
the
an
Lin,
iframe for yourself.
kind of like the Lin bubble kind of thing, right?
I'm not entirely
Yeah.
sure what it cleansed. I'm sure it cleansed darkness and stuff. It didn't cleanse any stuns, but I don't think any.
Oh, like the soft
Oh,
CCs,
yeah,
not the hard ones.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
like the miss one, the accuracy, the darkness, right?
Right. Like the bishop.
This
What was it called? The dispel. Yeah,
Dispel.
the dispel from bishop, kind of like that effect. Yeah.
but without
Yeah,
the
so
healing attached to it.
They've just removed like a lot of small things,
Yeah.
and also just a lot of big things, and just gave us different things. But
Yeah.
I feel like you could have just made a different class at that point.
Okay.
Or yeah, like
Yeah,
I said
yeah.
earlier,
Honestly,
or
yeah. Just make
just
put that.
just change the visuals. It'd have been fine. Like how League sometimes there's so many champions now in League.
Yeah, like
that we
AB.
go back to-
AB was like majorly visual update and some small tweaks.
Yeah, you could just done the same thing with Aaron. Just
Yeah, I
visual
remember. Yeah.
things, and then the one or two problems that it really had, just change that functionality for,
Yeah.
and that can just be seen as quality of life, which is still good. Like no one sees like a small quality of life as a nerf or anything really. So if they just change the visuals to Aaron what it is now, and then maybe tweaked some of the problems it had before, then
Yep.
I think this remaster would have been fine,
That
especially
could have been
because
more successful.
a lot of
yeah.
new players said they like Aaron as a boss in villain now, which is good. But
But that's not what the only thing the character should be for, right?
yeah, and a lot of times the response I see also is past Hard Lotus is when you start seeing the real damage drop off from the class before,
Mm-hmm.
compared to if you put the same funding on a different class. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that 6 job's gonna change or like fix our damage, but
Yeah.
until then, we just
I'm
suffer, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath for it, but Aaron's always going to be a class that's like on the side for me at this point.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, let's hope
Which
it gets some more love in the future then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we hope for both. Maybe something
Yeah.
like. I mean, we're never gonna get the 50% attack buff back.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Probably
There might
not,
be
yeah.
a small chance that they remove like internal cooldown on adrenaline, like they did that in the past, where
Mhm.
if you used adrenaline, you were locked out of using adrenaline again. They removed that, but we'll just have to see what they're gonna change. But it's a very different class to what it used to be. At least the movement is still the same. But yeah, besides that, it's very different. Which is
Okay.
why a lot of people quit.
Yeah, I yeah. For me, yeah, because I wasn't as familiar with Aran, and I was hearing a lot of it through Kyle, of course. Whenever I jump into Discord, just hear him go on about how this is looking, getting more and more doomer, and hearing everyone talk about which class he's going to be maining instead, because this is like ridiculous. It's easier for me to feel like it's maybe a little bit overblown, but yeah, the numbers don't lie, right? Like it's there's a reason why, and it's so I appreciate the more nuance into it. I just wanted to get a little bit more of a understanding of what the general experience was in the past, and with the new builds and everything, with the new kits, rather than just have some opinion on it that's uninformed. So I appreciate you guys sharing, Flip and Kyle. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I mean, you guys could stay here and yap. I'll do a little outro for this stream. But
No,
you guys
we've been
want to
yapping for like 2 hours.
yeah,
now,
more,
so
yeah,
it's
maybe
fine.
you need to get a cup of tea or drink some water to.
I'm almost done with my WAP, honestly, so it was good.
Nice.
Ethan,
That was
welcome
productive
full
time for you. Yeah, no, I was trying to get some dailies done as well. I think I'm gonna miss out on my fragments here, but all in all, it's still.
Unironically, I'm
Very
whopping
cool.
on the Aran, so I can finish its Hexa stack too.
Oh right, did you get a decent roll at least?
No,
Something
I got screwed again, you know.
Oh, nice.
And my bishop got screwed also, so, you know. Double
Nice,
whammy.
nice. Yeah, I rolled 2 4s as well, so it's nothing too crazy here either. Oh, well, maybe in like 6 years we'll min max those, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Because it seems
We'll
like
see.
6 job is definitely and I guess to end on that, like I feel like 6 job is very much a thing that they unlocked, but it's also not unlocked. Like it's still completely a work in progress over many years before they really the
Yeah,
6 job
there's
is
still
really
3
complete.
origin faults as well. So
Yeah, it's slots, yeah. And then the common...
Yeah,
common
wait,
slots
3?
also
Isn't it
like
5?
there's 5. Yeah, there's 5.
Yeah, there's
sorry.
5. Yeah.
3 more common skill slots, you know, with the
Yeah,
Soldanus.
exactly. So there's like 8 more skills, and then when you're looking at like the making skills passive, and when they're making like the auto buff key and everything, they're really going for trying to get people's keyboards cleared up a little bit, so that they can put new skills in there first, right? And I think
I do
getting the 2
appreciate
masteries.
I do appreciate
me too. It's like they're at least cognizant of that's what people are going to be, being annoyed about. And it also seems that they are doing the 2 masteries. I think is a good idea, because then they have that foundation done, and then they can start building on that foundation rather than shifting the foundation and adding new skills on it at the same time, and then having to change too many things to the old character, and then people getting upset about things that they've already gotten used to. Like you said, if it's a minor change, it's whatever, people can get used to it. But if it's a big change and a number change and it changes how you have to play the character, it's just too many things at the same time, and then you're just going to have so much, feedback. So you saw a lot of them with the 3rd and 4th mastery with that update, also changing how the base skill works, right? So that the bursting of the buffing of the skills in the masteries still made sense for the whole kit.
Mhm.
And I think with that
Yeah, with adrenaline.
foundation being good, yeah, like with adrenaline, with a lot of other skills for a lot of other characters as well. I think like the summons for Kaiser changed a lot, so that the Hexa could make sense for it, and I saw a lot of changes like that going
I
through.
think like
so-
Evan's like full rotation and burst rotation also had to change with the 3rd and 4th mastery as well. So it's very good that they released 3rd and 4th mastery together. But it feels like sometimes they're balancing with stuff that's like a year down the road, but we can't see a year.
Yeah, we can't
down
see
the
that.
road.
Yeah, so we just have to
even
hope.
even from the KMS player standpoint, it feels like they're still buff. They're still like balancing around what's 6 months to a year down the road for them too.
For
when they're
them,
getting
yeah.
it. And which
Mhm.
is really hard for players to be like, yeah, I'll just stick around with Aran for now when I could just instead play Night Lord, Netwalker. That's
Play
good
Night
right
Lord, play any other game, play a new game that's coming out that might,
Exactly.
that your friends are playing, that you're.
Play some Elden Ring, lose your minds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Anything. Play some
That-
League, maybe meet Faker. I don't know, something like that. But,
True.
yeah.
Did I just NPC my ring? Hang on, what the fuck was that?
Monkas.
I almost NPC'd my weapon jump ring. Okay.
I will say, Aran Remaster, good in some things, bad in other things. And one thing I do want to say before it ends is like that we really didn't talk about is that a feedback that a lot of people said is Aaron's training got better because the hitboxes are, I would say, more forgiving and a little
Yeah,
bit bigger.
it goes down a little swell.
Yeah. But
vertical down
Yeah,
hitbox.
vertical range just increased.
Okay,
They also have a
that's
summon
nice.
now, which is
yeah,
not the
which is
best
good.
summon. It's okay, I would say.
I'm-
It's kind of
I'm-
like Fountain.
I'm two-shotting right now in Grandis, which is pretty good. It's pretty good. In TT3, so
How fast
It's-
does it attack? Because that's always my problem with summons. If they one
Oh,
or two
it-
shot, I don't care. Can they map clear? Right? That's the.
yeah, it does.
yeah.
It does. For the section I put it in, it clears before.
Okay.
Yeah,
the
because
second-
before we didn't have a summon. I mean, you had
Yes.
Domain, but that was
Domain,
10
but-
seconds on a
Mhm.
90-second cooldown. You can't really see that as a summon, to be honest.
Yeah. If it's
Yeah.
not 100% uptime, it's not a reliable summon, so it might as well not.
Yeah,
be.
now it is 100%. And
Okay, that's good.
I mean,
that's good.
the vertical range is kind of ass, but it's an okay summon, and it's
Mhm.
100% uptime, so it's better than nothing.
But the counterpoint to that is like, why do you want to buff Aaron's training when Soul Janus is a thing? and
Yeah.
equalize everything.
Yeah,
So,
when you get at that point in 6th job, you just get level 1 Solianis, and then it's like, okay, what are we doing here?
and like I said
Every-
before, they condense the burst to make the class a little bit more intuitive for newer
Yeah.
players, especially.
It's
I
definitely
think
better
those
for
are all
parties.
good things, but yeah, and better for parties too. But I just think at the cost of everything else that was negative that we talked about, it's not really worth the update.
Yeah, too many negatives for like the positives you get.
100%.
Okay, any, you agree with that, Flip, or any last thing you wanted to add?
No, we're gonna be here for another hour, I think.
Yeah,
so.
we're I think we're repeating a bunch of the same thing, but yeah. But thank you very much for having a chat with me, guys. And you know, in the future, if you want some feedback on Demon Avenger or Arc, you know, let me know. And I could yell at that for like 6 hours. So all the things that were wrong with that and the whole history of that class. But yeah, thank you very much, and I'll see you guys around.
All right, see you.
Yeah. Right. So hopefully that was a little bit more insightful in the whole situation, that everything that happened with the Aran for you guys. If you are an Aran or an aspiring Aran and you want to learn more about the class, definitely check out the class Discord. I'll make sure to put the link in the description of the video. But yeah, so that was hopefully a nice lesson for you guys, and I added some timestamps in case that's useful. But yeah, if you enjoy this or you want to hear about another topic or about other classes like this, let me know. And thanks for watching.